Sal.
Yes, sir.
You know, I live in hot water now talking about these Cowboys.
Yeah, and hateful water, too.
I'm trying to stay out of it. But do you agree with Troy Aikman that the Cowboys can play with anybody?
Yes, I agree with Troy Aikman. All of us former Cowboys agree with the sentiment that the Cowboys can play with anybody. But Troy poured a lot of syrup on this one. I like that because us former Cowboys do that about our team because our team is ready to ball out. If you look at this team week by week, this is not even going to be deep analysis. This is just going to be you watching the games and reviewing the resume of these Dallas Cowboys. Tampa Bay, best team. Worst time to play that best team, too. They brought back every single starter from a Super Bowl winning team. They had to play them on Thursday night on the road, and they were the healthiest they will be this year. And you beat that team. You didn't beat them in the win-loss column, but you beat them in performance, which matters most to me. Now let's look at the L.A. Chargers. You didn't win that game, but you won that game in the win-loss column. Because remember, the Chargers gave that game away, but you were still playing toe-to-toe with that team like that. Philadelphia, Carolina, we're not even going to talk about those games. Those games are obvious, absolutes. They smoked them. Dallas Cowboys can play with anybody because once you go out there toe-to-toe with the Super Bowl champions, what else is there to really go out there and do other than to continue to stack up the W's? This is a team that looks amazing not only in terms of personnel, but the talent manifesting with that personnel. A lot of times we come up here and we want to disparage the Dallas Cowboys because they have the star on their helmet. A lot of times people want to take shots at them. A lot of times I work with a person that takes a shot or two at the Dallas Cowboys. Now he finally looks up. Oh, if you take shots at the Dallas Cowboys, if you're one of the people that disagrees with me and Troy Aikman about the Dallas Cowboys, you're just trying to be famous for the wrong reasons. You're just one of those dudes. Did you do the milk crate challenge? You look like a milk crate challenger. Did you do that? Like, milk crate's been in the hood all our lives. Since the day I was born, my first word was milk, and the second word was crate. I've seen them forever. You're supposed to put a wood plank on it, ride your bike over it, that's it. But you know what? People like you, Acho, who take shots at the Cowboys, are the same people that say, no, I'm going to walk over it. I see somebody else fall, watch me fall too. Acho, you will fall down and stay down if you talk bad about the Cowboys this year. I understand years past, you had some issues with them, and they were merited. Right now, Troy Aikman's right. These Cowboys play with anybody.
Sal, Troy Aikman is right.
Oh. You got to let me know what you're saying before you say it, dude.
Now, look, I do need to say something, though, Sal, because you're not slick. You might fool them, but you ain't fooling me. And I know this much. Cowboys fans are so emotional, and rightfully so. They've been through a lot, particularly the last 25 years. They've been in a down stretch. So you come out here on television, along with the likes of so many others, and you sell somebody a dream. I go to Venice Beach every now and then. I don't go to Runyon because you don't actually go to Runyon. You just lie on camera. I go to Venice Beach to work out. That's where I get my workouts in. And when I go to Venice Beach, I pass all these, like, tarot card and poem readings and whatnot. And every time I'm going by one, I go on foot. I don't stop myself. I always hear the most amazing prophecies. You, too, will win the lotto next week. You will stumble into the man and woman of your dreams. Because they're selling dreams to people that are in their lowly states, and they buy them.
And you're not in a line.
That's what you do with these Dallas Cowboys.
Wow.
Now,
reading palms out here?
Yes, you're selling dreams out here. The Cowboys can, in fact, play with anybody. But here's what's important. That doesn't mean anything.
How?
24% of NFL games, Marcellus Wiley, are decided by 3 points or less. 24%. 51% of NFL games, Marcellus Wiley, are decided by one possession, 8 points or less. In the NFL, anybody can play with anybody. The Jacksonville Jaguars, the worst team in the league, were beating the Arizona Cardinals, the best team in the league, through 42 minutes of play. It was not until 3.5 quarters into the game that the Arizona Cardinals, the best team in the league, finally took control of the game versus the worst team in the league. In the NFL, anybody can play with anybody. So don't brag about being able to play with anybody. Here's what Troy Aikman could have and should have said, which I believe to be true.
Let's go.
The Cowboys can beat anybody. Now, that's something to talk about. Being able to play with anybody don't mean anything. Anybody can play with anybody, particularly to the naked eye. DK Metcalf ran against a bunch of Olympic sprinters.
Don't do this. Don't do it.
To the naked eye, to the naked eye, it appeared that he ran with them. To the non-track eye. Because 0.2 of a second is this. To somebody that don't run track, he just lost by this. To you and I, we know that's a lifetime. But to the naked eye, DK Metcalf ran with them. I don't care about being able to play with anybody. Anybody in the NFL can play with anybody. The Steelers beat the Bills week 1. The Saints beat the Packers week 1. Anybody can play with anybody. Can you beat anybody? That's the conversation I would like to have.
Well,
a higher level conversation.
Well, it's our show. You can have that conversation, and you can have it by yourself because I'm not having that conversation. I can't believe you're going to try and now take his words and twist them like you don't understand where he's coming from. Let's go here. Whew. I've learned this in life because you get caught. It's a catch-22. When you're talking to others, the masses, do you talk down to them because you have genius and expertise like a Troy Aikman? Do you talk down to them and dumb it down? We hear that a lot in our industry. Yeah, that was a great take, Acho, but won't you dumb it down? And you're like, dumb it down? What does that mean? Make it digestible, okay? Troy Aikman didn't make this digestible. He made this where if you understand where he's coming from, then you are one of the people that should understand where he's coming from. What does that mean, Acho? I take you through example form. In any NFL game, who's the best offensive tackle you ever play with?
Jason Peters.
Jason Peters.
Prime.
Beast. Yeah. Who's the best defensive end you ever played with?
Played with or know of?
Know of.
Yeesh. Dwight Freeney was
Okay,
nice.
good. All right, I want everyone to just play this mental exercise with me. It may take a second. You got Jason Peters versus Dwight Freeney.
Yes, sir.
Ooh, stalemate. Who gonna win that, right? Okay, Acho, this is gonna be tough because I know you like people. Who's the worst DN you ever seen?
I know.
That guy, right? Jason Peters versus that guy. Do you know in the play one that guy may play with Jason Peters? Do you know in the first quarter, Jason Peters may all of a sudden say, damn, this dude is kind of good. Maybe that guy even gets a sack on Jason Peters. But consistently, over time, consistent excellence, will you see Jason Peters sooner or later show his prowess?
Yeah, of course.
Well, that's what Troy Aikman's talking about. He's saying this team could play with anybody, and sooner than later, they're going to show their prowess. They're going to be in contention every single time. The difference in our game is not the huge gap between
the razor blades.
Number 1 and number 32 team is not this. It's this. But over time, it starts to morph into this. Troy Aikman is trying to highlight that this team is right here. And over time, they will actually be the cream of that crop.
I like that, but I subscribe to the genius of Albert Einstein, who says, make everything as simple as possible, but no simpler.
Oh, Wileyism.
I subscribe to that genius.
I like that.
That genius to me says
what?
To say that the Cowboys can play with anybody is too simple. That's too simple. Of course they can. But anybody can play with anybody. To me, is can you beat them? What's so interesting to me, when the Cowboys lost to the Buccaneers, so many people said, well, the Cowboys missed a couple kicks. They missed 2 field goals. That's why they lost the game. You do have to understand a field goal kicker's on your roster. So if you missed the game because of a couple field goals, it's not coincidence. He's a part of your team. 24% of games are decided by a field goal. So you have to factor in that field goal that you missed as a part of the talent of your team.
What's the other 76? More than the field goal.
I don't know. Everybody,
you know it's more than the field goal.
I say that to say this.
That's the majority.
The Cowboys, yes, play with anybody. Congratulations. I'll snap for you. Hercules. Can you beat them? And thus far, Cowboys got some good wins. That Chargers win is looking like a better win day in and day out. Panthers win, I don't love. That Chargers win, that Bucs loss, to me, they kind of neutralize each other. You beat one by 3, you lost to one by 2. But I'm not going to stand on a chair and start screaming because you can play with anybody. The Jaguars can play with anybody.
No, they
can't. The Jets just beat the Titans.
No, you could get a moment.
The Titans had beat the Seahawks.
You get a moment.
That's all you need.
You could get a game. No, you can't. Because in this situation, the Dallas Cowboys, to even get into, see, football is like inverted, like compared to other sports. Basketball, baseball. They go into a series in the playoffs. So that means you're 4 out of 7.
Yes,
you got to beat me, right?
Of course.
And football is do or die when it matters most.
It's a moment.
But you got to get there.
Sure.
You got to get there. And you won't even be in that position. You keep talking about beat, B-E-A-T. How do you spell beat? B-E. Be there first. Sure. The Cowboys will be there.
Absolutely.
And then they can continue and beat them. That's what my man Troy was talking about, the genius of that statement.
Here is what you have to focus on is this. If the game of football is decided by moments, it's an aggregation of moment after moment after moment after moment. Can the Dallas Cowboys beat anybody? Talk to me about that. Play with anybody? I do not care. Because Nick Foles had a moment against the Minnesota Vikings. Then he had a moment against the Atlanta Falcons. Then he had a moment against the New England Patriots.
Facts.
Then the Eagles had a moment because they won the Super Bowl. Now, is Nick Foles one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time? No. But Nick Foles is capable of beating anybody and was capable of playing with anybody. So I'm not going to sit here and go crazy because the Cowboys can play with anybody. That don't mean nothing to me.
Okay, so right now, life on the line. And if I told you, who's number 32 in our league? Is it Jacksonville, really? But let's just go there because...
Or Texans with Davis Mills. Texans with Davis Mills.
Can they play with anybody?
Texans, no.
Oh, I thought everybody could play with everybody. See, already we are starting to see there's disparity even within the same conversation. Yeah, and that's what I love about this. The semantics of this is amazing because this is why I look at people who never played as people who should never, ever discount anybody who ever made it professionally. I don't care what level. Like one day, one rep on the practice squad. Because you ought to understand, everyone's a black belt in the NFL, right? So everybody is a black belt, but not everybody could play with everybody. Yeah, you could get a moment, but the game is not judged in the moment. It's judged in games. And the games collectively, before you get to a game, that means your entire fortune in one day. It's amazing that this was even a conversation. We didn't get to full layers on it. But can the Cowboys play with anybody? Yes. Can they beat anybody?
Yes, most people.
So why are you arguing against
the Rams?
Cardinals? And wherever else he's going to come up with during commercial break.